Speaking of energy, just a little screech. I should tell you, it's very uncomfortable being here. I'm not used to being in rooms full of achievers. And of course, with all the talent that you've assembled, I guess the idea of Jim Davidson to get me here in the first place was that you needed some structured anticlimax at some point in the evening. That's me. Before I even do anything, I will ring in. I was looking at all of this. I mean, the setting, the way that this has been placed out, the great screens, the entertainment. And I thought back to one of my first engagements, which was the Lions Club in Joe Bat's Arm. And this is not the Lions Club of Joe Bat's Arm. You guys, and it's not a praise to the people, it's the ones that done it here, you have really put on a superb, superb performance. I should begin by acknowledging, of course, Madame Premier, and I believe also Madame Leader of the Opposition. Gentlemen, you will realize the way the world is going now. I also think you should give Mayor Nenshi just a little smidgen extra of the applause I know he deserves, because he has so strongly resisted the almost ferocious draft that's coming from Toronto. They want to trade. Speaking of Toronto, I should thank you just for the invitation to be here. I know I'm an outsider in a province that does a lot of things, and it is according to Newton's law. You may remember he said that one body, however wretched, cannot be in two places at the same time. So the fact that I'm on this stage now means that I'm not currently in Toronto, which is about a moral and hygienic elevation. Because the time is short, I have two things that I really, really wish to do. And it's because, A, the Premier and members of government are here, industry is here, the Mayor is here. And this is not some shtick. It's something that I waited a long time to find the best group to say it to. It's going to be compressed. I'll say it in less than a minute and a half or two, but I want you to know, I really, really do, just how absolutely deep, how intense I mean what I'm about to say. It's compressed. I can't fill it out. But I will say it this way. 1992-93, Newfoundland got an arrow in the heart. The fishery on which for 500 years we built the entire life of the province, soul, body, and mind, was shattered. 31,000 people in a single day were out of work, which, just to give you proportions, if you were in Toronto and you picked up the Globe and Mail some morning, and I hope you don't, and read 660,000 people were out of work overnight, you'll understand the scale of the economic shock. And here's where the great compression comes in. You're the energy industry, you're the government, you're the citizens of Alberta. Newfoundland would have been crushed. You do not understand, and I haven't time to explain, just how savage that shock was. It was much more than economic. It was much more even than cultural. And it went to individuals and families. But by the genius of Providence, or by the great initiatives and energies of this province, that was at the beginning of your boom. And though it does not get often registered, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, thousands upon thousands, not only from my province, but from other provinces too. Here's what it is I want to say to Premier, Leader of Opposition, Industry, Mayor of Calgary. Do you know how much social misery, how much dislocation of individual families how many divorces were postponed, how much dignity of the individual was restored. Because instead of leaving a great pocket of 31,000 families out of reach, Alberta, and I mean it, Alberta absorbed over time so much. My closest friend went through divorce, loss of house, loss of job. In a nutshell, came up here, house is back, marriage repaired. He's making more money than some of you. Here's my point, and I'm saying it out loud even though I'm chewing up more time for another message. I think as a Newfoundlander, as a Canadian, it would be very nice to say, for sparing Newfoundland a trauma of the deepest kind, and for being there at the precise moment when this input was most necessary, Newfoundland says thank you to Alberta. I have a second message too, but I was watching some of these rock and roll videos, and they really, really are splendid. I'm just wondering when you're bringing on Neil Young. You know, I saw that he was giving advice on the oil sands from the back of his 1959 Lincoln Continental being shot from 2 helicopters. You know something? I wouldn't take advice from Neil Young if he was talking about the bare naked ladies. But his information on what goes on here, on the sophistication, on the technological miracles, on the amplitude of effort and industry and invention. He's not even in the same age. And then this week, there must be an IV drip of idiocy down in the States. This week, Robert Redford, whose last movie hit occurred at the same time that Tolstoy was learning to read. He's also saying to you, oh, it's the dirtiest oil in the world. Look at some of your films, man. Here's my message, because I do have one, and I'm going to concentrate it because this is an audience that really should hear it. And it is an audience, I need to screech, both political, industry, worker, and citizen. It's a point not only about Alberta, it's about the whole of the country. And here's this. One of the things that as an outsider, I have no skills, I'm in journalism, okay? As an outsider to your industry, one of the things that has alarmed me, puzzled me, robbed me of the innocent sleep that my otherwise wonderful conscience would allow me to have, is why this industry, and to a degree this province, I know the Premier is here, stands so silently at times when you are made the target of such slander and such misrepresentation. Here is my point. I'll give you 3 or 4 things. Samuel Johnson's great quotation, there's not a man, woman, or child in this room who doesn't know what I'm about to say. People do not need to be informed as often as they need to be reminded. Whatever it is about this industry upon which the defense of the Canadian economy during the worst recession we have ever seen was structured. This industry was the shield during that particular maelstrom. 2, where is Confederation being renewed in any practical sense in Canada today? I'll tell you where. It's in Fort McMurray. The mixture of people from every province working together, man and woman. People have left places they have never left in generations. The real interaction, the real rebinding of the national idea is taking place in real time without politics at one of the great work sites in the history of the entire country. You are renewing Confederation, whether you know it or not. Thirdly, for all the people and all the success, this is the 20th anniversary of a great company. And I'm glad to see, by the way, that there are elements of pride in the way that you are. I am tired. I am tired of the bowed head. When people achieve something, they usually stand up and beam. I took the radio show to Fort McMurray. I met some wonderful people. They gave me, naturally, a little tour. And I'm not slandering them. I'm not sarcastic on this. They showed me where they had reclaimed dirty water. They showed me where they had put lawn and grass back on piles of dirt that you could never believe. They showed me trees. And then we went somewhere else and they showed me more trees. Most of the afternoon, I was looking at grass, reclaimed water, and trees. Finally, I said to the person giving the tour, "Do you have any oil?" There's my point. Stop apologizing for what you're doing. In fact, reverse it. Alberta, Calgary, you've shown it once again. You had a flood here recently, and in most other jurisdictions, this would still be cramped with doubt and misery. This is one of the only jurisdictions in North America where a calamity re-energizes the community. Are you apologizing for that? Well, then let us bring it back to the industry. I know too many laborers, too many taxi drivers, people who work in hotels, people who had such hard times before, who are up in that place. I also know the captains of some of the industries. But it goes the whole way. Understand what you are doing. They keep talking about the 19th century railroad, the great project of the 19th century binding. This is the project of the 21st century, and everyone is ashamed to admit it. I like trees. I'm sure you do too. But there's nothing going on in Alberta that is murder on the trees. You're at the very edge of technological achievement. You're at the very edge of scientific investigation. You're doing things with resources that even 60 years ago would be attributed to demonic powers. Do you realize just how first century this is? This is something to be truly lauded, celebrated. And then the people who criticize you. Why are you listening to them? When was the last, this is a serious question, when was the last time that Elizabeth May said, you know something, it's so really, really, really good that those poor unemployed folks down in Newfoundland have now got great jobs, they're up there and they're crane workers, or they're going out into the forest, or they're doing safety inspections, or they're on offshore rigs. What a wonderful thing you oil companies are, that you help so many ordinary people get back their dignity, hold their families together, and have the taste of self-reliance in their mouth. Even a company as successful as the one being celebrated here tonight, and even the people that are responsible for this achievement, here's the last strand. This is not just an economic story. That's what's wrong with all the defenses that I hear about it. It is not just an economic story. And the idea that the oil industry is any more villainous than any other industry. We're all a mix of good and bad. Dentists are no worse than oil workers or journalists. Stop this. Understand that it's not just the commerce, that the Canada we all hold dear the standards of living that are truly unimaginable. The advances in healthcare, the healthcare technology we now have, all of this, and the individual happiness of families and family members. Unemployment is a sickness. I know enough about it. Understand all the social consequences, the cultural consequences, and, because you are the drivers of it, applaud the level of scientific and technological wizardry that is providing the most fundamental substance for 21st century society. Energy rules the world. Without it, we're back throwing stones at each other. So, I'll wrap it up. I will wrap it up. I was very quick when I said thank you, but I wish there were times to detail how many I know and know personally that got hauled out of psychological ruts, that walked away from the shame of not being able to basically make their own living, who've come to a new province and saw new elements of confederation, who opened their eyes to a larger view of the entire country itself. Others, young ones, who come here and see these machines and see the science that's underneath. Do you understand how much mind is in Fort McMurray? It's probably in its way one of the most intellectual landscapes on the entire planet. It certainly wouldn't start a song, "I was a miner for a heart of gold." No. So on the 20th anniversary of the company, on the gathering here of the people of this province, understand that the project may be in the province and your companies may be of the province more than of any other. But this is a pan-Canadian thing. It is larger than industry. It is larger than politics. You should exult in what you're doing. You should take the same pride in this as the craftsmen of old took when they sculpted, carved, or painted. This is a triumph of the spirit, not something that anybody has to apologize for. And Alberta and Calgary are among, in my judgment, the most vital and, in every sense of the term, one of the most energetic regions in the entire planet. Take care of yourself, drink lots of booze.